Okay, so welcome. Today we are going to talk about the vertical line test. Okay, so what is the vertical line test? It's a tool that we can use to decide whether a function, or excuse me, whether a relationship is a function or not by looking at the graph. And it's a very quick and easy test that we can do. So the basic idea is if you draw a line, a vertical line, it should not intersect the graph of a function in any more than one point. So at most, it should intersect only one point. Okay. So in other words, if the vertical line that we draw, if it intersects anywhere, we draw the line anywhere in more than one point, then that is not a function. So let's look at some examples. So if I have some function f, like so, then I can draw a vertical line anywhere. And it's only going to intersect the graph at one point. So this is the graph of a function. Likewise, what if I have a graph that does something like this? Again, there's nowhere I can draw a vertical line where it's going to intersect in more than one point. It's only going to intersect at most one point. Now what about if I have a graph that does something like this? Like a piecewise function. Likewise, it's only going to intersect the graph at one point. Even here, it's only going to intersect the graph at one point. Okay? So this also passes the vertical line test. What about if I have something like this? So now I've got this big gap in here. Now remember, the definition of being a function means that you can only intersect the graph with a vertical line in at most one point, at most. So it could be places where it doesn't intersect the graph at all. That's okay. The problem is if it intersects the graph at more than one point. Now let's do an example of some relations that are not functions. So here's one. So we have a circle. Well, this is obviously not a function because if I draw a line here, it's going to intersect at 2 points. Or how about this one? In this case here, if I draw a line here, it's going to intersect at 2 points. So these two are examples of relations that are not functions. Okay. And this goes back to the definition of a function because remember, where does the vertical line test come from? It comes from the definition of a function. Remember, a function is for every x value, there is exactly one y value. Well, what happens if the graph, if the vertical line intersects the graph in more than one spot? Well, for example, here it intersects at one x value. But for this one x value, we've got two y values. It it violates the definition of a function. Same thing here. Here, for this one x value, so the vertical line only goes through one x value, but it intersects the graph at two spots, which means that there's two corresponding y values, and it violates the definition of a function. That's the key. That's it. Have a great day.